Entertainer, educator, and author, Marshall Sylver has been appearing live on stage for over 45 years. The media calls him the world's leading expert in subconscious reprogramming and irresistible influence. His fans call him the greatest hypnotist of all time. From his humble beginnings as a poor farm boy growing up in a home with no running water, electricity, or phones, he has been a product of his products, transforming his life into that of the rich and famous. He is the most televised hypnotist in history, with multiple appearances on Howard Stern, Montel Williams, and many more. He's the only hypnotist to ever appear on Late Night with David Letterman a record 5 times, even bumping the top 10 list. Letterman said, "For all your hypnotic needs, Marshall Sylver is the man to see." On the Dr. Joey Brown Show, he cured 10 phobias in under an hour. He has created and stars in the world's largest hypnotic production show, Real Hypnosis, Really Funny, and has appeared on the main stage of Caesars, Planet Hollywood, Paris, the Palms, the Stratosphere Hotels in Las Vegas, and many more. His books are published by Simon & Schuster and have been published in multiple languages. His life-changing audio and video programs have changed millions of lives around the globe. His top-rated infomercial, Passion, Profit, and Power, did over $100 million in sales the very first year. As an educator, Marshall has shared the stage with Donald Trump, Susie Orman, Presidents Clinton, Ford, and Bush. Zig Ziglar said that Marshall was one of the most dynamic speakers he had ever shared the stage with. His live events on becoming financially independent, creating passionate, lasting relationships, and changing your life have broken attendance records worldwide. In Taiwan, he simultaneously hypnotized over 5,000 people through an interpreter. He is the go-to authority on all things regarding hypnosis or persuasion and influence. His 3 babies, Sterling, Maximus, and Prosperity, were all born at home via hypnosis with no pain, no drugs, and no doctors. Prosperity's birth was live streamed with thousands of viewers watching, whether he's flying around on private jets to change people's lives, or lounging at his 17,000 square foot home in Las Vegas, or his waterfront home in Southern California. Marshall Sylver is an example of what he teaches. Now here he is, the millionaire maker himself, Marshall Sylver.
Oh, yeah, we're here. And I'm excited to be here for one big reason. Everything begins. Everything begins. And today is no exception. I'm excited to be here because this is kind of a return to my roots. For those of you that don't know me, you saw a little bit of a preview of what I've been up to for the last few years. For those of you that don't know me, though, I have a massive history inside of broadcast. When I was 17 years old, I was working in a gas station, and a gentleman would come in every single day. I would give him 110% service, over the top, check his oil, check his tire pressure, all the above. And at 17 years old, I hated the job. Except my belief is if you don't like something, you need to do a good job. Because the only way you're going to get out of doing something you don't like to do is to do a really good job so that you can move on to the next level. So at any rate, I'm pumping gas. He comes in, he says, "You know what? You're amazing. You always go over the top. You take really good care of me. Have you ever considered a job in broadcast?" And I said, "If you're offering, I'm considering anything to get out of the gas station." He said, "I don't have a paying gig for you, but what I do have is an opportunity to come down and intern at a radio station you've never heard of." And the radio station was called FM 104 K-Joy, beautiful and relaxing music to have your teeth drilled by. And while I was working at the radio station, they thought that my name, Marshall Sylver, was too flashy. So they asked me to go under the moniker of Marshall Gray. Maybe you have read some of my books, 50 Ways. At any rate, the bottom line for this is that I started in broadcast at 17. I was on the air for a long time. I went and in 1999 was asked to do a nighttime radio show in Las Vegas. We became the #1 rated radio program in that time slot in the entire market. I got tired of that, went on to do some other things. In 2013, launched the broadcast, kind of similar to what this is. It was called Get Rich Radio. It then morphed into the $1 Million Training Network as audio gave way to video. And we did the $1 Million Training Network for a year. In fact, I'm taking a look at the chat and I see quite a few people actually that were a part of Get Rich Radio and the $1 Million Training Network on the stream. And in that program, we did a lot of what we're going to do during this program. And for those of you just tuning in, this is kind of a precursor to what's going to launch in the beginning of 2024. We're going to do a couple of days before Christmas, work out some technical bugs, work out format, and all those other challenges, which is part of the theme of today's show. Everything begins. And more than that, during today's show, we're also going to let you know going forward how you could win $5,000 cash or more, how you could win sterling silver 0.999 refined silver. There it is in my hands. We have it. And by the way, this thing is heavy. Yeah, 10 ounces. An ounce is a pound is 16 ounces. This is 10 ounces. And it's weird that something so small could be so heavy, so dense. But I'm guaranteed going to give these away every single day we're live. If you are in the chat, by all means, not only put a note in there, I want the silver, and you spell silver with a Y. Also, take a note in the chat of how you can join us on the call, because somebody that joins me on the call a little bit later in this hour is going to win 10 ounces of pure silver, voted on by you, by the way. Voted on by you. There you go, Brian. Uh, there you go, Dustin. Good stuff. And then also more. Back in 2013, we're doing Get Rich Radio, the $1 Million Training Network, and I was giving away cash every single hour that we were live on the show. During the course of the year that we broadcast, I gave away over $350,000 in cash. $350,000. And this show is going to be no different. In fact, this show, I'm stepping up the odds. My desire is that we will put Mr. Beast to shame eventually. Not now. He's the hero. He's the silver standard as far as giving stuff away online. We intend to make it better. Starting today, though, I have in my hands a box, and this is our secret word box. We're like I said, we're in pre-launch right now, so nothing fancy. We're getting everything there. Inside of this box is a single word. That is the secret word of the day, and I'll reveal this by the end of the day. But here's the gig. Sometime during the show, as I start bringing in calls and we start talking, somebody may or may not say the secret word that's encased in this box. Should they say the secret word, guess what? They win $5,000 cash. During the live show, when we started doing the show at the beginning of the year, every single day that I'm live, that nobody wins the $5,000 cash, I'm going to bump it up another $500. So day one, $5,000. Day two, 55. Day three, 6,000. You get the drift. And we're going to keep adding to that kitty until the entire jackpot is given away to some random listener who mentions the secret word during the broadcast. Now, during the broadcast, in the first portion of the broadcast, when I'm just chatting with you like I'm chatting right now, I'm going to give you clues as to what the secret word is. So how much fun is that? I'm going to give you clues as to what the secret word is, and you'll have to decipher the clues. Get on the show. And yeah, Michael Ken, you could say the word now, it won't do you any good. But when you get on the show and you're talking to me in person, if you say the secret word, you're going to win the cash prize from the secret word of the day. And whoever is the most interesting call of the day, whether you said the secret word or not, you're going to be voted on by your peers, and you're going to win 10 ounces of pure Marshall silver. Let me get a close-up of that. Take a look at that. That is Marshall silver. Let the camera. There we go. So at any rate, we're going to have some fun. So how the format's going to work, and like I said, today is kind of a beta. We're going to have things go wrong. We're going to have things amiss, all sorts of things. But today's lesson, before we get into taking your calls, and by the way, keep looking at the chat if you'd like the link to be able to get on the air and actually talk to me in person. Get your shot not only at the silver, get your shot at the $5,000 plus secret word of the day. During that time, though, what I want you to know is that every single day I'm going to give you a lesson, and today's lesson is everything begins. If you are on the broadcast right now, rather than just passively listening, what I want you to do is to take notes. Write this note down. Everything begins. Title of this episode. Put out crap, then put out crap 2.0. That's life. I was in Texas recently, and I was at a party, and Phil Knight, the founder of Nike tennis shoes, was there. And obviously, Nike is a multi-billion-dollar brand, and we were chatting about a lot of things. And I asked him about the beginning of Nike, and he said, "You know what? Obviously, I had no idea it was going to end up being so big. I just wanted to start a company, and I really wanted to start a shoe company. And it was during a phase where everybody started running, and so I wanted to create a new running shoe." And to create the running shoe, I had to create the sole in the shoe. He said, I didn't have a manufacturing plant. What I had was a waffle iron. And so I took and poured rubber on the waffle iron and created the sole of the shoes I was about to sell. Now, if you recall, thinking way back in the beginning days of Nike, their sole was that iconic tread. Well, that tread is a waffle. And so he started Nike on a waffle iron. Since he had nowhere to distribute his shoes, he threw the shoes in the back of his car and drove to a local swap meet and started selling the shoes out of the back of his car. Apple Computers, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak start Apple Computers out of a garage. Michael Dell begins Dell Computers from his dorm room. The point is, everything begins. So here's the thing that I think, though. I think people have an overwhelming need to look good. And because people have an overwhelming need to look good, I believe most people never get started because they're afraid I'm going to look bad. I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to look bad. Uh, we're dealing with technical challenges, and certainly they're going to change. And as we work through the technical challenges, you'll watch this show get better and better and better. So the next note I want you to take is rehearse, review, revise. Rehearse, review, revise. What does that mean? Well, in the process of putting out crap, what you've got to do is ponder that every single time you do something or make something or present something or sell something, you're actually rehearsing for the next time you do that. So every time you do it, it's a rehearsal for the next time you're going to do that. So you do it and then you review it. You take a look at it. You say, how could we make this better? This is, like I said, we're in beta right now. All we're doing is letting you know what the show is going to be. We are going to give away silver today. Guaranteed somebody's going to win 10 ounces of silver. I also have the secret word in the secret word box right beside me. We're going to have it mounted so you'll be able to see it in full view right over here as the show proceeds. If you say the secret word when you call in and ask me a question, then you win the secret word prize of the day, which is a minimum of $5,000, goes up $500 every single day. So when you're doing something, rehearse, review, take a look at it. Constant improvement, make it better. Doesn't have to be completely perfect. In fact, perfection paralyzes, just has to be better. Kind of a good way to live your life. You know, how can I live my life today a little bit better than I lived yesterday? Could I eat a little bit better today than I ate yesterday, a little healthier? Could I treat my spouse with more love today than yesterday? Can I make my business better today than yesterday? I'm reminded of a picture of Jeff Bezos, one of the wealthiest people on the planet, sitting in his what looks to be spare bedroom. And on the wall behind him, written in crayon or marker on a piece of paper, is the word Amazon. Amazon. And you know, you look back at that, and he didn't know what it was going to become. He had no clue he'd become one of the wealthiest people in the world, starting Amazon.com. In fact, Amazon almost didn't happen because if you recall, if you're old enough, like me at level 61, if you're old enough to recall, Amazon lost billions with a B, billions of dollars before it finally found a profitable route. And in fact, Amazon today is nothing like what Amazon was when it was launched. Nothing. As you recall, Amazon, when it launched, sold only books. And that's why they lost billions of dollars on the business as it was launching, because not everybody reads books and not everybody was interested in buying books online. In fact, most people actually enjoyed the process of buying books by going to the bookstore, socializing, grabbing a cup of coffee, sitting in the corner at Barnes and Noble and sipping their tea. When Bezos realized that he was going to go broke, he started doing something that happens in the review process. He started throwing every noodle he could against the wall. Figured if he's in for a penny, he's in for a pound. If you're going to do something, if you're going to fail, fail spectacularly. Don't don't rust out, flame out. And so he changed the business model of Amazon from selling just books to selling everything. In fact, I bought my first Rolls Royce Phantom from Amazon. So everything I've been on stage since I was 7 years old. I've been a hypnotist since I was 17. I've been a professional hypnotist since I'm looking in the chat. It says we lost audio. So we're working on it. I told you we were going to suck. And we're back. Lovely. We're going to suck. And I say that out loud because I'm a really good sucker. No, I mean it. I practice every chance I get. I don't mind sucking. And you shouldn't mind sucking either. It'll get you a date in the future of excellence. That's what I mean. It'll get you a date in the future of your excellence. So at any rate, the uh, the show is all about helping you understand when you rehearse something, when you do it, and you have no expectation of outcome. My son, my beautiful, beautiful son Sterling, and my beautiful son Maximus, my gorgeous daughter Prosperity, they are growing too fast. And I'm reminded that as kids, we don't have any answers. We don't know how anything works. And one of the biggest things that I have instilled in my kids is a willingness to do something poorly until you can do it well. So many times people don't want to do things, even adults. I mean, me, you too, I'm sure. We don't want to do things we're not good at. Many years ago, I was at my palace in Las Vegas, 17,000 square feet, 100,000-gallon swimming pool, putting green, skateboard park, tennis court, purple tennis court. Purple's my favorite color. And a buddy of mine came over for a party. And while he was at the party, he said, "Hey, we should play tennis." He'd never been to my house before. He saw the tennis court. He said, "We should play tennis." I said, "I don't know how to play tennis." He said, he looked over the tennis court. He looked back at me. He said, "You're an idiot. You have a tennis court." I said, "I understand." He said, "Well, why don't I come over? I'll teach you how to play tennis." I said, "No, that won't be fun for you. If you teach me how to play tennis, I'm going to lose every single game. It's not going to be fun for you." And he got a glimmer in his eye. He said, "No, beating you would be a lot of fun for me. So let me come over and let me teach you how to play tennis." When he came over to teach me how to play tennis, I sucked. I didn't get any points in the first games we played. In fact, I can't even imagine it was much fun for him, except I stayed with it. I stayed with it. I kept playing, and every day that he came over, he kept beating me. In fact, it was rare that I ever got a single point. Well, a couple of weeks into it, I decided to go get myself a lobster. No, not with drawn butter. I went to go get a lobster. It's that machine that shoots the tennis balls across the net to you so that you can return it. So I went out and got a lobster, and I spent the weekend returning balls, the entire weekend. I mean, 16 hours at least, just returning balls, just swinging that racket, returning balls. He came back on Monday to play me, and guess what? I got some points. We played Wednesday of that same week. I won a game. We played on Friday of that week. I won a match. Rehearse, review. Review means you say, what could I make better? Not what could I make perfect. Perfection paralyzes. What could I make better? And when you ponder what could you make better, then you take charge of that. A lot of highly successful people, other people from the outside, I'm sure, would call perfectionists. I am not a perfectionist. I do take charge of what I notice as quickly as I can, except I'm not a perfectionist. I am willing and okay with looking bad. And to help you overcome that hump, I want you to write this down: lose your need for other people's approval. Write it down first person. I'm losing the need for other people's approval. And then finally, step 3, rehearse, review, revise. Do it again. My kids are growing so fast. Uh, it's boggling to me. Sterling got new flip flops. I wear a size 10 and a half, 11 shoe. I'm 6'1", wear a size 10 and a half, 11 shoe. My son, my 12-year-old son is already, I think, 5'7", maybe 5'8", 5'7", 5'8". He's 12 years old. His shoe is a 12. He's wearing a size 12 flip-flops. Bigger than my foot. Boggling. Monstrous. Huge. At any rate, rehearse, review, revise. Do it better. Today, we're going to be on the air with you for probably an hour, maybe a little more than an hour. We'll see how it goes. If the questions are interesting and I'm fascinating, I'll stick around. By the way, if you want to get in and ask me a question, by all means, you should take a look at the link inside the chat. If you get through and you ask me a question and I'm fascinated, and today would be a good day to get through, by the way, because my guess is there won't be a lot of people calling in only because we're brand new. First broadcast ever. So call in the most interesting call of the day. And today I may choose who gets the silver. I may choose today. In the future going forward, though, you're going to choose so that you know that it's not fixed. But today I'm going to choose somebody that gets on the air with me. Look in the chat. Amanda and Jordan are doing a great job putting stuff up on the screen for me, assisting me in this, our first broadcast. I'm grateful for them. So get on the air. You might say the secret word, win $5,000. At the very least, your odds of getting 10 ounces of pure silver. This thing's heavy with the Marshall Silver imprint on it is great because it's our first show. Lovely. Revise. Make it better. You know, every single day I ask myself, WWMD, what would a millionaire do? I ask myself, WWHD, what would a good husband do? What would a good father do? And then I shift and I begin doing things differently. You've got to be willing to do that. You know, I know sometimes it's overwhelming to look at a big project like this one. We launched Get Rich Radio back in 2013, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, exactly what this show is going to be. And I had no clue of how to do a broadcast. Nobody knew what a podcast was. Joe Rogan had launched his show. A few other people had launched their shows, except nobody knew what a podcast was. So we were certainly ahead of our time. And we had phenomenal success during the year. In 2013, my second child was born. Maximus was born. Wanted to spend more time with him. My mom died in 2013, and so my heart was heavy. I also had launched a show in Vegas at great expense at Planet Hollywood, grew disenchanted with dealing with major corporations again, forgot how bad it is to deal with a venue, let alone a corporation that I don't have control of, in doing my daily show. So we put over $1 million into the show, and I walked away from it. I said, I'm taking a year off. I want time to be with my sons, to be with my wife. And so we shut the show down. Fast forward now, Joe Rogan didn't shut his show down. Excuse me. Fast forward, Joe Rogan launched his podcast and kept it going since 2011, and now is making over $100 million a year, let alone doing some pretty good programming too. Fascinating programming. He's one of the few podcasts that I actually watch. So the point of all this is, though, you got to start somewhere, and you've got to be willing to fail forward fast. It's a monstrous endeavor without a doubt. It's a huge undertaking to take on huge things, except what I want you to know is they don't have to be perfect. Back when I was 23 years old and I became a stage hypnotist, I booked my stage show 4 nights a week, and I thought I was all that. And I record every single performance, including obviously this broadcast. We record everything so that I can review, take a look at what I did and do it better the next time. So I would come back to my apartment after each show and I would watch the VHS. For those of you that are under 40 years old, what a VHS is, it's this block that had a tape inside of it that you put inside of this machine called a beta machine or a VHS player, and you play it back. So I would play back the VHS and I would think I was amazing. I would look at myself and I would say, you are astounding. Recently, I came across a box of VHS tapes, and one of the tapes was from one of my earlier shows. And I watched the show in this time, and oh my gosh, was I horrid. I don't mean just bad. I was horrible. I was, to me, almost unwatchable. And because I was almost unwatchable, I cringed, frankly. I cringed. So, here's my point. You're going to suck. You're not going to be good. You're going to feel like you're out of your element. You're going to, you know, you're, you're going to freeze up. You're going to freeze. And like I said, taking on those big responsibilities that you're going to take on when you launch big endeavors is going to be the best thing you've ever done. I say fake it until you make it. Act as if you cannot fail. Ask yourself, what would somebody who was really excellent at this thing I am seeking to do, what would they have done differently? Except absolutely, without doubt, be willing. Be absolutely willing to put out something. Harlan Kreplick, you and your beautiful bride. See, you loved Get Rich Radio. Yeah, welcome back. Welcome home, everybody. Everything begins. When I was chatting with some people, telling them we were going to launch this show, they said, "What are your outcomes?" And I said, when we shut down the Million Dollar Training Network, we were averaging over 10,000 people a day on the broadcast. And that was in the face of continuous technological challenges. Back in 2013, the streams did not work well. So every time we got above 10,000, we would crash the stream regardless of what the stream was. We had a software platform that I had built to help track people's viewership so they would get paid for the amount of time they viewed the show. That software kept crashing. It was a nightmare. I had hair then, to put it in perspective. So when we decided to come back, I decided to come back in kind of a unique way, kind of a different way. And the way that we're coming back is we're going to be doing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, whenever I'm not traveling. Our original intention, and this is the first time I'm letting anybody know this, our original intention was that we were going to launch January 1. It is apparent to me that we have way more working parts than I had anticipated. So, in complete alignment with what the message of today's broadcast is, we are not going to officially launch January 1. We're going to do some more beta tests. We're going to get things ready, pre-roll, post-roll, intro, extra, outro, videos and such, and all the technology to take your calls seamlessly. The official launch date has shifted to February 12th. Whole bunch of things happening in January, a lot of technical stuff. My live appearance schedule has also dramatically increased over the last 2 days. And January 27th is my 10-year wedding anniversary. And so when I was looking at the schedule, and figuring out exactly how we're going to do this, I realized that we are not going to be able to launch. Yes, I appreciate it. My beautiful bride just walked into the bunker. She's got a list of the people that are wanting to get on the air. I appreciate that. Amanda's also sending me some messages. You're the best. This is me pausing to look at my beautiful bride in her tight jeans walk through the studio. So thank you, God, on all fronts. The show's going to be very casual, as you can tell. We're launching officially February 12th, which is a pretty special day for me. My daughter's birthday is February 11th. My wife's birthday is February 13th. So, what a great thing to launch right in the middle. Jean is wishing me a happy anniversary. By the way, on our anniversary, we like to do experiential things. My wife and I, we don't buy each other gifts for Christmas. We don't buy each other gifts for birthdays. We like to do experiential things. And this anniversary is no different. I have had it on my bucket list for a long time to see the Northern Lights. And so we have booked a lodge up in Fairbanks, Alaska, a northern city up in Alaska, where we're going to head up during our anniversary with the kids, of course. And we're going to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary, 17 years of being together, up watching the Northern Lights in Alaska. I'm giddy. It's going to be fun. February 12th, official date. Although, like I said, during January, yes, I'm going to jump on. We're going to do the broadcast, and we are going to make it happen. It's Christmas, so I thought I'd want to get on before Christmas and do a few broadcasts, give away some silver, maybe give away the grand prize of $5,000 or more with the secret word inside the secret word box, and make it happen. We were watching Christmas. My daughter Prosperity asked me the other day, "What are your favorite Christmas movies?" And there's a few. Certainly, there's a brand new one with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. That's a phenomenal movie. It's coming to me. The name of it is coming to me. There's also a movie called A Boy Named Christmas, which is a phenomenal movie to watch. Love that movie. Of course, there's my favorite, Frosty the Snowman. I've been watching since I was a wee lad. And even though Frosty the Snowman is not a great Christmas movie because the outcome is predictable. I mean, the very end of the movie, you know what's going to happen. And the very end of the movie is, well, the very end of the movie is the very end of the movie. Something you should think about. Titanic sinks. So the question I have for you is, what's the end of your movie? How does this play out for you? Where does this go? What we focus on expands. What we expect tends to occur. Some of you, we've got some people asking to jump on the show, and awesome. I see a whole bunch of great people asking questions. Let me see. That's a good question. We're gonna get Melissa on first, and we're gonna get Mike Kane on next after Melissa. Good questions, and keep coming in. Keep reaching out into the green room and get in there and let us know what question you want to ask, and we'll get you on the air in a minute. So, at any rate, during the first portion of the program every single day, I'm going to give you clues as to what the secret word inside the box is. And should you call in, ask me a question, and happen to mention the secret word while we are talking, then you could win the grand prize of $5,000 or more. So make sure you're listening very carefully to the dialogue every single day, whether I'm just teaching you or whether I brought a guest on during the first portion of the program, a celebrity guest. Pay attention to what I say, because in the midst of what I say will be the clue to the secret word that's in the box. There you have it. So every single day when the show's live starting February 12th, and we'll do some beta broadcasts prior to work out all the bugs. Starting February 12th, though, in the first portion of the program, I'm going to not only teach you lessons like we're teaching right now, I'm going to give you clues to what the secret word is, which, by the way, I've already given you. The second portion of the show, I'm going to open up the phone lines, the video lines on this stream, bring some people into the room to answer questions. And if they happen to say the secret word, we'll let you know. And if nobody says the secret word at the end of the show, last thing I'll do is open up the box, show you what the word was, and then we'll change the secret word up for the next day. And if nobody wins it, we'll add an additional $500 every time we do a broadcast. So today, first broadcast, $5,000 up for grabs. Finally, what I want to tell you on this process of everything begins is always begin with the end in mind. Always stop and ponder, where do I want this to go? Many years ago, I got tapped to do a daily television talk show on CBS, 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, talk show on CBS. And we had the contract signed, we were ready to go into production. And as fate would happen, I got attacked by the government. Now, I happen to love my country. I am a patriot. I love America. We have the greatest country in the world, as far as I can tell. And the government is not my friend, and the government is not your friend. It was an election year, which is the reason most attacks occur, including the attack on Trump right now. It was an election year, and the Nevada Attorney General was looking for reelection. So they were looking for something that would be press worthy. I, at the time, was a mid level celebrity back in 1999. I was a mid level celebrity. I had appeared on the main stage of numerous casinos in Las Vegas. I had already made a couple $100 million. So I was a mid level celebrity that was a perfect target for an attack to get some publicity. And that's what they did. And when they attacked me, they gave me an option of either rolling over and taking a misdemeanor charge, or having them take me to court and charge me with multiple counts. I opted to defend myself. My experience has been that if a bully beats you up and is successful, they will beat you up tomorrow. The day you stand up to a bully, the day you don't let them beat you up, is the day they'll stop attacking you and they'll look for easier prey. So that said, what do I want to do on this show? What do I want to be in this show? I want to be your voice of reason for a couple of hours a day. I want to be a place where a couple hours a day, 5 days a week, you can go to for questions about your relationships. Maybe you are in a relationship and it's not going well, and you need to be able to ask somebody questions to make your life better. Maybe you're broke, and maybe you're asking yourself, how in the world do I start making money and develop my business? Got a lot of experience there. My entire career has been spent teaching people business strategy. Maybe you have questions about emotional, mental, physical, or even spiritual well being. I lump that into power. Maybe you have some power questions. Every single day, rather than paying me $60,000, you can tune into this show. You can listen in while other people ask questions. You can get on the air and ask me questions directly and more. So that's what this program is going to be all about. Today's show, secret word clues have already been given. Some of you I know are going, oh my God, he already gave the clues. What did he say? I got to decipher what he said. Yeah, maybe you should. And in a moment, we are going to open up the stream to your questions. Got a couple already on track. I also, yeah, Frank, I'll take Frank's call third. So it looks like we got 3 calls lined up and we'll go from there. So I'm Marshall Silver. For those of you that don't know me, for the last almost 40 years, I've been teaching an event called Turning Point. Turning Point is a 2.5 day program that allows you to understand 3 very important things. Number one, you are a product of what's going on in your head, including right now. You are not only a product of what's going on in your head right now, you are the sum of all the programs, truths that you've allowed to go into your subconscious mind. Yes, Sapphire, I would agree. The advice is the key. The advice is the prize here. You are the product of the people you hang out with. The people you hang out with continually reprogram your brain. So if you've got toxic people near you, if you've got toxic relationships that you interact with, yeah, transform them. And how you transform them is you say, I love you, and I don't want to hang out with you. I love you, and unfortunately, the negativity that I experience when I'm chatting with you is way more than I want to experience. I love you, and many years ago, I was going through a particularly dark era of my life. And during that dark era, I was being attacked by the government. I was being threatened with 27 years in prison for something that I hadn't done. I was going through a divorce. I was married 11 months, and my ex was dragging out the divorce because she was getting paid a lot of money to drag it out. And the divorce was going on for 4.5 years. I was dating the girlfriend from hell. My self esteem was so low that I was dating an absolutely horrible girlfriend who cheated on me on a regular basis, stole cash right out of my pocket whenever she could. I found out that my best friend, who was running my company, whose shoulder I was crying on every single day, had embezzled over $1 million from me, which couldn't have happened had I not been in such a bad place emotionally. And all of that was happening simultaneously. While all of that was going on, I finally reached a point where I said, you know what? One fire at a time. I need to put out one fire at a time. The mass was overwhelming. I couldn't deal with everything all at once. So I said, I'm going to put out one fire at a time. I went to the girlfriend from hell and I said, we are done. You're a horrible person. Go away. Don't ever call me again. I went to the court where my divorce was being heard, and I said to the judge, I have no idea why a marriage of 11 months is taking 4.5 years, why you've ordered me to pay monthly spousal support, why you've ordered me to pay her attorney's fees and my attorney's fees. Something is going on here, but I'm telling you this, Your Honor, I'm not paying any more spousal support. I'm not paying any more attorney's fees. You can throw me in jail for contempt. Not happening. They need to pick a number. And that day they picked a number. I contacted the police and I said, while you don't have a case against the person who stole over $1 million from me, I've collected your evidence here. You need to prosecute the case. And I went on with my life. Today, as this broadcast happens, don't cry for me. If you don't know me, my life is phenomenal. My life is blessed. My beautiful bride just walked into the studio here inside the bunker at Studio Money, where we're living in the vault. And she's perfect. My wife, Erica, is the best decision I ever made in my entire life. She gave me 3 perfect children. Sterling, Maximus, and Prosperity are absolutely perfect children. They're geniuses. They're extremely creative. They're very confident. They're very kind. They're perfect. My life financially is blessed. If I never worked again, my life is blessed. The bunker that we're broadcasting from right now, the vault that I'm sitting in this moment, is on the beach in San Diego. I am literally 30 yards from the Pacific Ocean. I walk out my back door, walk down the stairs, walk right into my Pacific Ocean. I've got a cold plunge in the backyard. I've got a jacuzzi, and I have an infrared sauna. So my life is a spa. Life is perfect. So why am I doing this broadcast? a reinvention. At this point in my life, what do I want to do? I want to reach more people. I want to get to the point where we've got 100,000 people on the broadcast live, and we're off to a good start. We didn't really market this. We certainly didn't spend any ad dollars. We just told a few people about the broadcast, and you guys are doing great. And life is good. So yes, I see a lot of people, some folks that have been to the beach house. We call it Silver Sands. Some folks that have been to Silver Sands commenting in the comments. By the way, if you would like to get into the green room and would like me to select you, be active in the comments. The folks inside the studio are looking at the comments and they are selecting the folks that I'm going to chat with on the air from those comments that also click the link, go into the green room, and talk to our behind the scene hosts. So, without any further ado, we're going to take a short break. When we come back from this short break, we're going to start taking your calls here inside the studio. One of you is guaranteed going to win 10 ounces of Marshall Sylver refined pure silver. This is beauty. I mean, this is gorgeous. We bought a bunch of them, and I can tell these are going to be collector's items. My wife walked in and saw them, and she immediately said, I want one. My son walked into the room and said, I want one. I know I want one. It's got my name on it. And if you held one of these in your hands, you'd want it too. And with the way the dollar is going, and due respect, this is real money. None of this fiat nonsense. None of this worthless currency that's only worth what people are hypnotized to believe it's worth. So, at any rate, Sapphire, glad you're here. Yeah, jump back in the green room. They're going to let me know what your questions are. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back from this break, we are going to start taking your calls on the stream so we can test out that portion of what we're doing and more. The video I'm going to show you, I came across this yesterday when I was going through some other stuff and I was working, is a video of my two sons. My daughter isn't even born yet. We're at a restaurant in Carlsbad, sitting on the patio, and my son Maximus is probably 1 year old. He's sitting on my lap, and I start hypnotizing him. His little brother, his older brother, Sterling, is watching him, and I start hypnotizing him too. It's a lot of fun. Little break while we get ready to start taking your calls in the studio. This is Sterling Marshall Sylver and Maximus Marshall Sylver having a little bit of fun and joy. Here we go. Max, sleep. Max, sleep. Okay, sit up, sit up, sit up, sit up.
One, two,
Ready,
three,
ready,
wait.
ready? Here we go. Max, sleep. Sleep. Max, sleep. Ready?
Sweet.
We are back. Wow. This is so much fun. Frank Lucer, good to see you. Antonio, good to see you. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of folks that I haven't heard from in a long time jumping on the comments. This is awesome. You have no idea how joyful this makes me. We had a lot of fun with Get Rich Radio. We had a lot of fun with the $1 Million Training Network. And now I'd like to have some fun with you. So let's see, who do we have? First up, looks like we've got Melissa. Melissa, are you still with us? And if you are, let's bring her on to the show. And like I said, work out the logistics of what we're working out.
Hey there, I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, perfect, amazing.
So what's your question today?
So my question was, what do I need? What's the most important thing I need to know about you if you're going to be my mentor?
Good question. You know, I believe that if you're selecting a mentor, there's a criteria that you should go by to help you do that. First and foremost, make sure the person that's mentoring you is the real deal, not somebody who has not done the thing that you're seeking to learn about, somebody who can actually prove up they've done it. I see a lot of this in the real estate space. Somebody will go out and they'll do a deal or two, make some money, and immediately they start teaching other people how to do real estate deals. Make sure they've done at least, if they're going to mentor you, make sure they've done at least 50 deals. If they're going to teach you about relationships, make sure their relationship is a really good one. That doesn't mean that people that have relationships that may be challenged in a moment don't understand relationships, make sure they at least have had some experience with a healthy relationship. The next thing I want you to do when you're selecting a mentor is make sure you're selecting somebody whose lifestyle you would want to live. I live well. I don't like flying commercially. From time to time, I just by the mission am forced to fly commercially. I avoid it as much as I possibly can. I live in a palace in Las Vegas. I have a home on the beach in San Diego, and I like to eat well. I like to travel well. I like to enjoy the finer things in life. And so I'm not frugal. I am not a Warren Buffett. I am not a millionaire next door David Bach kind of guy who says don't buy the latte because, save your money, don't buy your latte, suffer and keep that $2.30 in your pocket. I think that's stupid. And so my recommendation, if you're selecting a mentor, find somebody who's actually done it. Find somebody whose lifestyle you like. Find somebody who has a track record and can point you toward other people that they've assisted, because chances are they've assisted a whole lot of people. And then finally, and this is important, if you're going to select a mentor, make sure you select a mentor, Melissa, that is someone who you'll listen to, someone who won't pull any punches, somebody that you give permission to tell you the truth, even if the truth is painful. What are you working on personally right now?
Uh, well, I'm working on getting you as my mentor. So that's I'll see you in January. So uh,
Awesome. So are you
yeah,
going to be with me in Ohio?
I'm going to be with you in Las Vegas at your house.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Fantastic. I'm
Yeah,
excited. Are you excited about Inner Circle?
I'm beyond. It's a beginning beyond beginnings. It's a place to um, what is it? Rehearse, review, and revise. And I'm in it for the silver. So yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Good.
Yeah,
Hey, one of the
yeah.
things I want, tell me, what do you do for a living?
I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also an instructor at an equine therapy facility for special needs kids and adults.
I love it. What city are you in?
I'm in Wenatchee and Ellensburg, Washington State.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We are, when we head up to Alaska, the charters to get to Alaska because it's so far away are a lot. And my wife insisted that we not do a charter that would have been over six figures. She said, "No, save the money. Let's just fly commercially." Ooh, it's dirty just for me to even say it. But since I'm not a fan of flying commercially, we're going to make an adventure out of it. And we're stopping in Seattle en route to Fairbanks, Alaska.
Nice.
Yes, we're going to stop in Seattle. I had them stretch the layover a few hours so we can go visit the Needle, go have some fun, go hang out, and then head up to Alaska to see the Northern Lights. So I'm going to be in your neck of the woods right after you're at the Palace. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm
And
really
excited about that. If I were to wave a magic wand over your head and change one major thing about you, what one major thing would it change?
my relationship with money.
Good. And
Yeah.
what do you think your relationship with money is right now?
Coming from a place of scarcity and being afraid to spend when I know that I'm okay.
I think about this a bit, because of my nature that I do like to spend money. And I'm going to devote an episode, maybe even tomorrow, I'll talk about it, to that concept that I talked about at Turning Point called velocity.
Hmm.
And for those of you that aren't aware, velocity is the speed and frequency in which your money changes hands. And a lot of people were raised by people, myself included, that were raised during the Depression, the Great Depression. And so those people are frugal to a point of being painful, frugal to a point of not enjoying their life. And at the end of the day, that really is the ultimate lesson is how do you enjoy your life? And when you think about that, and I go back to the example of the latte, when I think, gosh, I could be rich if I only didn't drink lattes. Yeah, there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and the book's all about multimillionaires who didn't drink their lattes, drove beat up old vehicles, lived in cardboard box houses, saved every dime they could, and died with millions of dollars. And my response to that is, why bother? I mean, where's the joy in that? There's no joy in that. And so what I tell people, and I think this, Melissa, is the greatest lesson that you bring to the table today for everybody watching the broadcast. The lesson is you've got to figure out what you love. You've got to figure out what you love so that you joyfully do it on a consistent basis. When you joyfully do it on a consistent basis, you become better. When you become better, you become more valuable. When you become more valuable, you'll have more financial and time freedom to do the thing that you love to do more so that you get better and better and better. It's very much what I'm talking about on this program, that everything begins.
Everything
If in
begins.
fact everything begins, including you. You know, you invested in Inner Circle. It's a $60,000 program. You've invested a lot of money to be there, to learn, to grow. And the biggest challenge that most people have in not getting what they want is understanding the very basic truth that what you're looking for is in a place you haven't looked. No matter what it is, looking for your car keys, they're in a place you haven't looked. Looking for the love of your life and you keep dating losers, don't go there. The love of your life doesn't hang out apparently where you're going to, otherwise you'd have found them. The you're looking for, you know, a better profession or a better life, it's where you haven't looked. And so everything happens for a reason and it serves you. And one of the biggest lessons that I've had is learning how to surrender when things aren't going the way that I want them to go and saying, okay, God, it's your plan. There's a joke in recovery, and the joke is you want to make God laugh, tell God your plan for your life. And I would agree with that. That the bottom line for all of us is surrendering, finding our lives perfect, because finding them less than perfect is an absolute waste of time. So I'm excited to see you at Prosperity Palace in January. Be giddy. What are your plans for Christmas?
Uh, First time for my mom to spend Christmas with part of my family that flew in from Hawaii. So we're doing Christmas at my niece's house. So I don't know, with about 25 people on Christmas Eve. And then with my husband's family the following day. It's just, I don't know, 50 people total in those two groups of just cooking, eating prime rib and playing games. It'll be amazing.
It sounds amazing. Prime rib, my favorite Christmas meal.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I look forward to it every year. We do prime rib for Christmas, and then we do a crown roast and lobster tails for New Year's.
We do crab for lobster for New Year's. We do crab for New Year's. So yeah, awesome.
So we could be siblings.
We we're gonna get close. Believe me.
I love that. I'm excited. Melissa, Merry Christmas. Thanks for getting on the show. And I haven't heard any of the other calls, but so far, you're my pick for the best call we've ever had.
Oh my God, Marshall!
Yeah, but not yet. I'm not done yet. Not done yet. But so far,
That's so great. That's so great.
so you have a chance to win the silver. You have a chance. You haven't won it yet because you're the only call. But if you were the only call, then you'd have won.
This is true. This is true. Well, there's beginning for
So
everything, right?
yes. And how does it feel to have been my very first call ever?
I am just amazed. It's perfect. It's awesome, and I am just blessed and giddy for sure.
Awesome. Well, you are loved. I will chat with you very soon. Stay tuned to see if you won.
Absolutely.
God bless, Melissa. What fun. Yeah, isn't that the way that you've got to figure out who your mentor is? You've got to figure out whether or not the person that you're learning from is actually going to assist you. I just said something. And what I said was finding your life less than perfect is a waste of your time. It is what it is. And since it is what it is, you have to ask yourself sometimes, what's perfect about this? We were renovating a theater here in Carlsbad, and I spent 4 years during COVID renovating it. The landlord pulled some fast ones as COVID restrictions were being lifted and leveraged the theater out of my hands after I'd already spent $850,000 on the property. And so they got all the TIs, they got all those benefits of me working on the building for 4 years, except there's no point in getting angry because it doesn't serve you. And there's no point in holding a grudge or being upset about it because ultimately it is what it is. And while that is a rather Zen concept, it's a fact. Let's see, who else do we have coming up? Antonio. Is Antonio my next caller? If so, let's drop Antonio into the mix. Or why don't you surprise me, Amanda? Just whoever you have lined up. I know I said somebody else earlier, so whoever is lined up, let's drop them in now. Michael Kane, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Marshall. How are you?
I'm awesome. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Youngstown, Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
Fantastic. I am back in Ohio in January. Did you know that?
You know what? Amanda just told me in the message in the chat. This is
Yeah, I am
exciting.
back
I didn't
in
know.
Ohio in January doing a Turning Point. So you've got to be sure to join us. Have you been to
Sweet.
Turning Point before?
Never.
Lovely. So you have now 2 free tickets because you jumped on the show, guaranteed 2 free tickets to come to Turning Point for
Oh,
being on the show. So when we wrap up, make sure that we get your details from Amanda so that we can get you registered.
oh, thanks, Marshall.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's
What's your question?
The question I put in the chat was, when we go after what we want in life or learn new things specifically, I think sometimes I sacrifice a level of certainty. Trying to be so open-minded, so teachable that I'd leave discretion on the side, perhaps. So the question is, what can people do to be as teachable as they can while maintaining a level of certainty, of unlimited certainty?
That's a great question. And I understand what the question is. We want to operate in certainty and manage expectation. What do I mean by that? There's no point in entering into something without a spirit of success and victory. Because if I enter into anything, whether it's a game or a relationship or a business, thinking, gosh, I might lose, since what we focus on expands, the idea that I might lose, if that's my focus, then I'm all looking for all the ways that I can lose. Here's a good example. This is a beta of the show. This is nowhere near what it's going to look like long term, except this is a beta. 15 minutes before we started the broadcast, there was a miscommunication between myself and the people that are assisting me with the broadcast. 15 minutes before the broadcast, because of a verbal miscommunication, we didn't know that we were going to have guests on the air. We didn't know that we were going to be able to get you in this conversation on the air. Miscommunication, it happens. I seek to communicate better. I seek to be understood, and I seek to understand. And the fact of the matter is, though, I said, look, let's get on the air. Let's deal with what emerges. If we can get guests on, let's get them on. If not, I'll lecture for an hour. The fact of the matter is, though, you got to manage expectation because shit happens. It just does. And there's no way around that. Things turn out the way that they do. The thing that I know I'm positive about is that once again, you got to find it perfect. I was married twice before I met my one true wife. And I'm very glad that I was. My first marriage was kind of nothing. I was 21 years old. We were both young and dumb. In fact, we divorced and lived together for a year and a half after we divorced as boyfriend and girlfriend. We just didn't want to be married. We weren't compatible. My second marriage, different story. I did not want to ever go through another divorce again. And so when I got married a second time, I fought for the marriage. And in due respect, it was a marriage that didn't deserve being fought for. It was wrong, clearly wrong on every front. And so the fact that I was fighting for it just was an unrealistic expectation of what I wanted. I wanted the marriage to stay intact. God said, no, this is going to be hell. You don't want this marriage. When Erica, my one true wife, and I met, she asked me, do you think you'd ever want to be married again? And I said, oh, never. Hell no. I've been married twice. I'm just not the marriage type. And to her credit and her genius and her wisdom, she said, that's okay. All right, that's fine. I remember the day I was up in Canada with my friend Raymond Aaron, and he said, I've never seen you so much in love, Marshall. I said, I've never been this much in love. He said, when are you guys getting married? And I said, none of your business. Erica put her hand on my shoulder. She said, whether Marshall and I are ever legally married or not, we'll be together for a lifetime. I looked
Oh,
over at her, Mike, and I realized that it wasn't marriage that I was opposed to, it was divorce. And I also realized that anybody that was as smart as my wife is, I want to spend my life with. And so it's that management of expectation that things aren't the way that we think that they are going to be. It's understanding that sacrifice isn't sacrifice. And what I mean by that is there's no right or wrong. This is a really good thing for people to write down, take note of. There is no right or wrong. There's consequence. It's not right or wrong to be married. It's not right or wrong to have a spouse. It's not right or wrong to have 5 spouses. Depending on what your belief structures are, it doesn't matter. Your life lived the way that you live it, as long as it's not harming other people, it's your life. You choose. Except the consequence of having many wives is many people to take care of. The consequence of having no wife is no one to take care of you. The consequence of having one wife is, yes, you've got to work on that relationship every single day, and you've got to be sure that you're pouring into it in a profound way. Now, it sounds to me like you were asking more about business. Is that true?
Yeah. So you asked Melissa about waving the magic wand, about like, changing her life. The
Sure.
answer to
What's
that
your magic
question,
wand? What would it change?
more of like a certainty with strategy. It's better strategy. But no, I mean, it was more of a broad
Good.
general question that your
No.
answer
It's not
was
a broad
great to
question.
think about.
It's a life strategy. It's a good question. So to
Uh,
answer that, what I say is let your yes be yes, let your no be no. You can always change your mind. What do I mean by that? Most people don't make any decision at all on things. They don't realize not making a decision is making a decision for naught. Successful people, the Elon Musks of the world, the Steve Jobs of the world, the people that create really massive success, they're willing to do things, the Richard Bransons of the world, they're willing to do things that may or may not work out. Steve Jobs invented a number of products at Apple that never went anywhere, fell flat on their face. Richard Branson launched many brands. Virgin Condoms comes to mind that didn't pan out. And I'm thinking Virgin Condoms, gosh, I hope so. That didn't pan out, that just didn't work. And I think that the bigger challenge for people, once again, is they don't fully commit to something. They kind of commit to it, then they don't do it. This morning, when I found out we were having some technical challenges, some things to work out, somebody else might have just said, hey, we're canceling the broadcast. We're not doing the broadcast. I said, no, if we're going to do the broadcast and I cannot get anybody on, so be it.
right.
But the thing is, and you asked the specific question, how do you live in certainty, frankly, when there's doubt? How do you live in certainty when you're not sure of an outcome? Well, in due respect, you can never be sure of an outcome, except you can be certain. You can act as if your success is a given. What's going to happen with this broadcast? We are going to turn this broadcast, this little teeny tiny thing that has less right now than 100 people on this broadcast. Mark my words. Give it 3 months, give it 6 months, give it a year. We're going to turn this into a force to be reckoned with. How? By giving people sound advice, by bribing people. People like free stuff. By putting the cash up for grabs, putting the Sylver up for grabs, giving you the means that when you refer people to the show, by the way, Mike, when you refer people to this broadcast and then they come to the broadcast like you have, who referred you to this broadcast?
I responded to the email list. I'm on your email list. That's
You're
how I
on my
got it.
email list.
So
So you're going to come to, so I invited you. So you're going to come to Turning Point and you're going to love it. You're going to say, wow, this is life changing. What city are you in?
I'm in Youngstown.
Youngstown. How far from Cincinnati is Youngstown?
I'll be there. Just tell me the date. It's like 5 hours, I think. It's not far.
Okay. Hey, cool. I love it. I love people from the Midwest. Oh, yeah, it's a short 5-hour drive. I'll be there. I'm from
Tell me
Michigan.
about
I
it.
know. I can relate. In California, if you got to drive more than 30 minutes, that's too far. I don't want to drive it. So at any rate, you're going to come to Turning Point. It is going to change your life forever, Mike. You're going to love it. And you're going to want to tell people about Turning Point, except they're not going to understand your enthusiasm level because they weren't there. You're going to tell them, though, you know what you should do? You should tune into Marshall's broadcast. Check him out. He's interesting. He's funny. He's blunt, except he tells the truth. They're going to listen to the broadcast. Maybe they'll get on the air. Maybe they won't. They'll get to Turning Point. When they come to Turning Point, guess what? They're going to love what I teach them. And if they buy any of my additional training programs, you're going to make a 30% commission. Can you imagine referring 20 people to this broadcast? They can come tune in. 5 of them show up at Turning Point. 1 of them buys, just like Melissa did, my $60,000 Inner Circle program, and you get a check for $18,000. You like that idea? Well, you seem underwhelmed.
I like that idea. That's a great idea.
Good. Because my belief is that if we all work on this together, we all stay focused together, that the solutions are there. So the thing I want to end this question with is, while we cannot be certain of an outcome, we need to act with certainty. We need to speak in victorious language patterns. Yes, when I have 1 million simultaneous viewers, when this has become the largest advice show of its kind in history, as we are building this media empire, all of those are language patterns with the expectation of complete and total success in them. And I've got to speak that out into the universe, because the universe echoes back. And when the universe echoes back to me, oh, well, if he's going to have the biggest broadcast ever, I want to be a part of that. Oh, if he's going to create a show with 1 million simultaneous viewers, I was the second caller on that broadcast. I remember him glitching through that broadcast, having all sorts of technical challenges, yet doing it anyway. You know, before the date that we're in our own studio and we're shooting on 5 cameras and I got a crew of 15 people, I'll look back to this moment where I was the only one in the studio. And my 2 folks, Jordan and Amanda, working their tails off to make us look as good as they can and making everything work. I remember, you know, before we got on the air, 15 minutes before we went on the air, we thought we weren't going to be able to take calls. Do you remember that? And we're laughing from our private island where the studio has been built, where I can broadcast and have some fun. So live with certainty and manage expectation. That's what you want to do. Yet make sure you're entering into whatever you're entering into, that it's a given you're going to succeed. You know why?
It's a given.
Because you're Michael freaking Caine. That's why. And Michael freaking Caine does great things. Hey, good luck on the Sylver, brother. Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Take care. I love people. I love helping people get what they want. Hey, if this show has been useful to you, make sure that you, number one, register yourself by going to studiomoney.com. Excuse me, not .com. studiomoney.info/contest. Go to that website right now. If you're on the broadcast right now, go to that. You're going to get an affiliate link. That affiliate link you can post on your social media. You can tell people all about our broadcast. Nothing for them to buy, nothing for them to spend money on. All they need to do is come to the broadcast. And when they come to the broadcast, they'll be coded to you. And for 90 days, I'm going to encourage them to keep tuning into the broadcast, get to one of our live events. We've got Cincinnati in January. We've got Turning Point coming up in Las Vegas in March. And should they decide to buy anything at those broadcasts, you'll get a 30% commission. So it's a good deal. It's a cool thing. Who do we have next? Amanda, surprise me. Go ahead and surprise me. Who's our next guest? Hey, Frank. Welcome home.
Hey, Marshall. How you doing?
I'm always awesome. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from San Pedro in California.
Lovely. One of the most beautiful states in the U.S. and one of the most politically screwed up places on earth. Glad we're here. So tell me, what do you do?
I work in real estate, and also I'm a musician. And
what do you play?
I play guitar and I sing.
Lovely. My son Maximus plays the guitar.
My
daughter Prosperity plays the ukulele and writes her own music. All 3 kids play the piano and also sing. We love music in our household.
Oh, so
what are you working on?
A Sylver band very soon?
I think we are.
I'm working on some songs.
Good. Yeah, we are. My kids sit in the back of the car when we're driving around, and they sing a cappella. And I love it. And I just tell them all the time, you need to collaborate. So what's your question for today's show?
Well, my question is, I attended Turning Point, I think it was in June or July last year in Vegas. And,
awesome.
I went through the fire eating and the breaking the wood block and all that sort of stuff, and felt the power throughout the whole event. And, you get fired up and kind of come home and start working on things or whatever. But then, that kind of gradually wanes, that motivation. What do you recommend for keeping that motivation going? And obviously, I think this program you're going to be doing on a regular basis is probably going to help a lot. But just in general, what do you recommend to keep that motivation going?
Yeah, you hit it on the head. Stay in the conversation. That is one of the major reasons I'm doing this show, is that every single day people have an infinite amount of input coming into their lives, whether through media, through social platforms, through the relationships they interact with on a regular basis. And it's almost like you have a cup, and I talk about this analogy at Turning Point. I'm sure you remember this. And the cup is half filled with poison. And if you drink it, you'll die. But if you pour water into that cup, and now it's half pure water and half poison, if you drink it, you'll still probably die. If you keep pouring water into it, the water will overflow and it'll keep diluting the poison to the point that if you pour enough into the glass, eventually the poison will be gone and it'll be just pure water and you can drink it and it'll sustain your life and you'll be healthy. Our lives are like that. When you got to Turning Point, Frank, any number of things were going on in your life previously, any number of experiences and programs and input had already landed in your brain. You came to Turning Point. Yes, you broke some boards and you ate some fire and you had some fun and you made some friends and you started remembering what you want your life to be. And then you go back to your regular environment, and your regular environment wants to pull you back down because you grew. And since relationships are like scales, when you go back to your regular environment, it's got a choice of either growing with you or, more times than not, pulling you down and back to the level you were before you attended Turning Point. So, yes, we've got to figure out a means to keep pouring into your life, pouring into your mind, pouring into your beliefs. First and foremost, yes, this show right now. We've been on the air for about an hour and 15 minutes so far, and I guarantee you that this thing will grow every single day. Let this show pour into your life for an hour or two while we're live every single day. Let it change you. Let it help you. Let it show you how to grow. Get back to Turning Point. Because you were at Turning Point in July or whenever you attended, you have a lifetime reattendance. Get back as much as you can. And even though you think, yeah, I already did that program, that's not how Turning Point is designed. Turning Point is designed to become better every time you come back because you'll view it from a different viewpoint every time you come back. Take the first step, the next step gets revealed. So come back as much as you can. Third thing is that, when I was a kid, I remember where I was when I first learned how to tie my shoes. Do you? Frank, do you remember where you were when the first time you tied your shoes?
No, I don't.
How old are you? What level are you
occasionally, 63.
Okay. You're at level 63. I was about level, 4 or 5. I remember where I was, though. I was in the house of my Hollow Corners Road home in Elmont, Michigan. No running water, no electricity, no phone. And my sister was teaching me how to tie my shoes. She turned away, and when she turned back, my shoe was tied because I had been working on it, and I finally got it. I recall, though, that when I was tying my shoe, I had to focus on tying my shoe, and my tongue was out. Well, I tied my shoe. Needless to say, when I tie my shoes these days, I don't stick my tongue out. When I tie my shoes these days, I don't have to focus on tying my shoes. I can tie my shoes and have a conversation at the same time. In fact, I don't have to think about it. I have to look at it. I just tie my shoes. Maslow talks about 4 levels of competency. First level of competency is unaware incompetency. You're not aware that you're incompetent. And when you're unaware that you're incompetent, you don't know what you don't know. The second level is you have aware incompetency. You become aware, gosh, I don't know how to tie my shoe, and I'm aware that I need to learn how to tie my shoe. Conscious competency, the next level, is that I am conscious of tying my shoe. I am competent at tying my shoe, except it takes all of my focus. Our goal is unconscious competency. Is our goal, where we want to get to, is knowing how to do a skill set without having to focus our attention on it because we are that person. What do I mean by that? I am a person who ties his shoes without thinking. If I am broke and I want to make money, I am unconsciously incompetent. I realize there's a benefit in making money. I don't know how to make money. I learn how to make money. Like you went to Turning Point, you became consciously incompetent. You learn, my gosh, there's a whole lot of things I don't know. Yet there's things that I could know, so you feel better about it. The challenge is you're still incompetent. And it's almost worse, frankly. You go back to your home in California. You don't know how to live your life fully. You haven't practiced the skill sets of reprogramming your brain or learning the skills of irresistible influence. So you're still not getting what you want. And then finally, it's not enough to learn. We must become someone new. It's not enough to learn. We must become someone new. And when we become someone new, we are that unconsciously competent person. It's the distinction between being a pauper trying to make money versus being a millionaire whose money has not yet been deposited in your bank account. When you acknowledge, I'm a millionaire, doesn't matter what's going on in the world, that is my natural state. Then because your natural state is that of a millionaire, your brain says, where's the freaking money? I'm a millionaire. I know money's flowing near me. I know it's coming into my world. Where's the money? And you find it because you're looking for it. You expect it to be there. That's where we need to get you. So the answer to your question, how do you make Turning Point and everything you learned from me take hold, stay with you, be useful? Yes, tune into this show every single day. Make plans right now, if not Cincinnati in January, Vegas in March. Get back to Turning Point. Use what you have learned. Did you do your dream sheet as you were instructed to at the Turning Point?
I did.
Did you do your ideal day of work and your ideal day of play?
That I haven't all done.
I got it. So that would be a no.
Yeah.
Have you changed your language patterns? Have you stopped using the words try, can't, but, problem, hope, if?
Yes. And in fact, but I never say it anymore.
Good.
It's always, and, as you were saying.
Yes.
And I will be attending Turning Point again, but I just said but I'm also signed up for Irresistible Influence, which I couldn't make in the November session because I was out of town.
Love it. So, what do you do for a living? You said you're a musician. What else do you do?
Yeah, I work in real estate as well, do some flipping of houses. So I've been out of town a lot to another state doing properties there.
I love it.
As you said, California, the politics are so screwed up.
I would agree.
I did have rental property here and got rid of it when the government told the tenants they didn't have to pay me rent anymore.
Well, you're in the right place. We're going to talk. I'm going to have guests on coming up in the future, some of the best real estate investors in the business. So every single day we'll give you some new advice, some new direction. You're on the right path. I just want you to, as a gift to yourself, acknowledge who you are. And it starts by asking that question, who was I on the day that I was born? Was I a pauper struggling to make money, or was I a multimillionaire whose money had not yet been deposited in my bank account?
I think definitely
You're
the
awesome.
latter.
Yes.
And along the way, the mind was programmed via other environmental factors.
It was. So the next step in that is you ask, who am I? Who was I on the day I was born? Who am I? Then the bigger question is, if in fact your brain says, yes, I am a multimillionaire whose money has not yet been deposited in my bank account, then every single decision you make past that has to be based on that truth. I'm a millionaire, therefore, fill in the blank. Therefore, I don't argue with the phone company over a $10 overcharge on my cell phone bill because it's not worth my time. If I'm a multimillionaire, even if the money has not yet been deposited in my bank account, I learn how to be agreeable, because by being agreeable, I am able to attract more people into my world, which means there's more opportunities for me to make more money, and all the above. So yes, that is a great question for you to keep asking yourself is, would a person who has already succeeded at what I'm working on succeeding at act the way, think the way, be the way that I'm being? And if the answer is no, you say, okay, then how would they be? How would a millionaire act? How would a millionaire interact with people? What would a millionaire communicate? And so much more. So all good stuff.
Very good.
Hey,
And
great.
I just like to say, I think you're freaking awesome. And anyone who's listening, if they haven't been to Turning Point, they should sign up right now and make it to the next one.
Well, you're awesome. I appreciate that.
And I look forward to seeing you at the next one in Vegas.
Me too. Take care, my friend. So we're in our beta broadcast. I'm using a prompter here so that I can look you square in the eyes. And my battery on my iPad just died. Fascinating. But we'll deal with what emerges. Because frankly, there's nothing else for you to do except deal with what emerges. So let me just see if I can get everything going again here. There we go. Awesome. Who do we have next? Are we still there?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There you go. Pete Gustis here. Nice seeing you again, Marshall.
As always, Pete.
So I just spent a couple months this year setting up my nonprofit charity. I changed my standard business into 501c3, and I'm raising money for senior housing. So I'm looking for high net worth donors. I did a PR campaign. Also, I applied for Google grants. I got approved, and I'm just launching a campaign with Google Grants. So I was wondering if there are any other suggestions you have to try to attract high net worth donors to donate to 501c3.
What is the 501c3's purpose?
Oh, we're creating
What's the
affordable
charity?
senior housing. Basically, the challenge with senior housing now is, especially with what has happened with COVID, Reading area used to be an easy place for seniors to find housing, especially Reading being an area where rent values were low. Now a lot of the rent values are actually starting to get very high, and even seniors on fixed incomes are having problems finding affordable housing. So the challenge is to create an apartment complex where seniors can get a brand new, more luxury apartment for $750 a month. And that's what I'm working on creating.
I have a very strong position on charities, and it's because I don't like depending on anybody else for my survival. And so one of the things that I believe is that if you're launching a 501c3 or any kind of a charity, that one of the things that you want to do is say, how can we be a charity without operating as a charity? And in this instance, the example would be you use the word donor a couple of times. And while I understand the word donor as it pertains to a 501c3, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And in the sense that rather than look for donors, what I would figure out is what do we give of value that other people would want to give money for, and they would have the added benefit that the money that they invest in this thing is a complete write-off because it's actually going to a charity. That makes sense?
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I actually have very low cost of entry for the seniors, because a lot of people said, well, it should almost be free. And I said, well, then we have to constantly ask people for money when this should be able to support itself. And making it very affordable makes it so seniors can come in and they don't have to worry about the cost of living there. And then plus, once everything is started, then we're not struggling and constantly saying, well, guess what? If you don't give us money, we're going to kick out all the seniors. And that's why we have the very small, and that's why we call it affordable housing, because it's 750 opposed to 1,000. And actually the idea is have a luxury experience for them, not some cheap apartment and they're just stuck there because they have no place to go.
Yeah, so getting back to it, what I would recommend, and I recommended this, I had a charity that just did an event at Prosperity Palace, a big charity actually, and they were looking for donations from all these different people. And what I suggested to them was, you ask an individual to contribute to your cause, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. I said, while it feels good to contribute to a cause, and certainly yeah, at level 61, I'm conscious of the fact that there are people that are at my level that maybe are not prepared for where their life is going to end up being, and they're going to need affordable housing. My question, though, is if somebody came along and said, I've got $25,000 to give to you, Pete, and I'm willing to give and contribute, and that's going to feel really good that I'm helping out seniors. I also want to know, what do I get? What are you going to give me? And the thing that charities should think about is, what is the perceived value of something? What ends up being the perceived value? Because that's going to be the thing that I can then further justify my giving to you. So I'll give you an example. The charity comes to me and they're raising money for brain health. That was what the charity was for brain health. And I said, we teach mental development programs. We teach subconscious reprogramming events. What if you gave a subconscious reprogramming event to people commensurate to whatever they donated? So if they donate $5,000, they get 2 tickets to Turning Point. If they donate 10 grand, they might get a program we teach called First Million, and so forth. So the fastest way for you to start generating additional donations, you called them, is to remove the idea that they are donating, remove the idea that they are contributors, and view them from the viewpoint of what would it be like if they were customers? What would it be like if they were buying something from me? And can I position this in such a way that they're buying something from me actually ends up being a contribution to the cause and everybody wins? That makes sense to you?
Yes, 100%. We're on the same page.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the call. Good to always see your face. You're back in Ohio, so I definitely want to see you and your guests at the Ohio event, and we're excited.
Sounds good. Thanks.
You take care. Awesome. Last call of the day is somebody I always love hearing from. This young man came to an event that I was doing in Las Vegas, and I was doing it along with somebody else, so he had no idea I was going to be at the event. 22 years old, came to the event within minutes of being at the event that he came to for somebody else, saw me on stage, and later on told me, the moment you stepped on stage, I said, that's the guy I want to learn from. He's brilliant. 22 years old, got a great head on his shoulders, a really good soul, somebody that I pray I have a lifetime relationship with, because this guy is really doing good stuff for a whole lot of people. My next guest on the show, Luke Sheffers. Welcome home, Luke. Glad to have you on the program.
Hey, man, it is be here. I love Marshall. I love what he does, man. So I'm excited, and this is awesome.
Hey, what's your question, man?
So my question to you is, what is the best way in your eyes to empower your significant other, your friends, people around you, to help them determine their objective and their destination in life?
The thing that I do is I offer a buffet. When someone is stuck, they often won't make any decision. Gets back to that point of indecision. Not making a decision is making a decision for naught. Sometimes people don't want to make a decision because they're afraid of the consequence. They're afraid of anything new. The only people who like change are babies with wet diapers.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we've got to do is figure out, how do we inspire them to make a decision? My son Maximus, the other day, I told him, you get to choose where we go to for lunch. And he said, where do you want to go, Daddy? And I said, I want to go wherever you want to go, son. He said, I don't know. And I knew what was going on in his head, is he wanted to make sure he was choosing something that I would be happy with.
Mm-hmm.
And because his intention to please me was so great, he wouldn't choose. So I said, hey, I tell you what, how about I choose 5 restaurants and you pick which of the 5 you would want to go to? And he said, okay. And I said, here's one, here's another, here's another, here's another. I gave him 4. And I said, I only have 4 options. What should be the 5th option? He gave me a 5th option. Well, that was his choice. And I said, awesome. So we got 5. Which one do you choose? Well, of course, he chose the one he just gave me because that was the one he wanted. So that's where we went for lunch. So how does this play out with other people? Sometimes people have a hard time. Let's imagine somebody is contemplating a geographical move. They're going to move from one city to another. Maybe they're in a relationship, and the relationship they're in, they love very much and they want the relationship to thrive and they believe that the move would be good for them. But their spouse, their significant other, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their whoever isn't completely sold on the idea. What I would recommend is understanding that life is a buffet, and sometimes you want to offer up a sample or a taste to somebody. So it might be, hey, I know you're not keen on moving. How about we go vacation? How about we go spend a week or 4 days or 5 days in this location to see if we can find some fun things to do? It may be, they're thinking about a career change and they say, hey, why don't I take this on a trial basis? No guarantee I'm going to be here long term. Why don't we see if things work out? A lot of times people get into something and they have good intentions and then they just say, you know what? It's not right for me. And that's all well and good because you wouldn't have known it unless you'd sampled the buffet. So my
Mhm.
recommendation is sample the buffet. If you're working with other people and you want to inspire them, let them sample the buffet like I did with my son, have them make some choices and have them if they are not buying into the overall concept, find out which pieces of the concept they are buying into. Because then you'll ultimately realize that I'm not dealing with the whole package. I'm just dealing with these little things. Like maybe they don't want to move the cat. Maybe they don't want to leave their friends. Maybe they want to be sure that they're safe. If they're in a relationship, they want to be sure they don't move to some city with their boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife and then get dumped by their significant other. They want to be sure that there is some kind of an out. It's kind of like when I met Erica, I told Erica, I am both your blessing and your curse. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, being with me is like winning the lottery. You go from struggling to flying on private jets, living in a palace, having anything you want, not having to work if you don't want to this amazing life. From that life that wasn't so amazing, you may lose it. So you got to prepare yourself. You got to understand how to manage expectation. And so when I told Erica that you got to manage expectation, she said, I get it. I said, I also want you to know that should things not work out for us, here's the deal. So when Erica, even before we got engaged, moved to live with me, I said, should we break up? Here's my promise to you. Should we break up, I will set you up in whatever city you want to be set up in for 3 months after we break up, and I'll pay all of your bills for 3 months so that you have a clean break and a good start. And I know that, she was 20 years old when she moved in with me. I know because I'm a really good hypnotist. Because of that, she felt safe in making the move. Because of that, she felt okay with realizing that I was thinking ahead. And I think that that's the final piece in helping somebody make a decision is you say, okay, what are the options should we unwind this thing?
Awesome. Awesome wisdom as always, Marshall.
You are awesome. I'm so glad you're a part of our inner circle. I'm excited to spend a lifetime with you and
Yep.
have you and the people that you love closer to me. So until we chat again, God bless you, Luke, and have an awesome day.
Thank you, Marshall.
You're very welcome. So, first broadcast of the Marshall Sylver Live show. We are so glad to be here. It's about an hour and 30 minutes into it. I had intended to go about an hour. We're back on the air again tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Going to be giving stuff away. So, nobody said the secret word. I gave some clues. And the clues I gave, I'll tell you what the clues were before I reveal the secret word. And then I'm going to reveal who wins the silver. Earlier, first part of the program, I said, sometimes you're dealing with monsters. And it's a monstrous opportunity, I think, or a monstrous endeavor. Then I said, my son has size 12 shoes. He's got big feet. And then I mentioned some TV shows, Christmas TV shows. And I mentioned one of my favorites was the movie Frosty the Snowman. Well, if you've watched Frosty the Snowman and you listened for those clues, you would have known that at the end of Frosty the Snowman, a creature appears. No, it's not a Bigfoot like my son has. Close though, Chuck Bell. Good guess. He's actually not a Bigfoot because he is and I've got the box in my hands. He's in the middle of the snow. He's not an abominable snowman either, although that would be close. The secret word of the day that would have won you $5,000 cash that was in the box in full view the whole time. The secret word of the day was Yeti. Yeti. Yes, Heather. Big white monster. Yes, that's the one. A Yeti. So had you said the word Yeti while we were chatting in there, you would have won $5,000. Since no one won the money, guess what? On tomorrow's broadcast, $5,500 up for grabs. And now that you know how I play, now that you know how I give clues, you might be better suited for winning the money tomorrow. Every single day the money's not won, it'll roll over, including today will roll over into tomorrow. If it's not won tomorrow, it'll roll over into our next broadcast, and so on and so on and so on. Somebody asked me, and by the way, I want to tell you, yes, the words are going to be hard. I'm not giving my money away easily. Somebody asked me, do you really want people to win the money? Yes, I do. And here's the thing. Every day it's not won, I add $500 to it. So it doesn't matter to me whether you win it today or tomorrow or the next day, or when it's $50,000, somebody's going to win. If you're going to be here tomorrow, let us know in the chat. Be here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, for another live broadcast. The words are not going to be easy, yet when you backtrack, you'll say yes. So while I'm talking, should I say something that seems a little bit odd? Pay close attention. Pay very close attention. Could be the secret word of the day. Final thing before we wrap up today's broadcast is we had a number of calls on the show. We had Luke. We had Frank. We had Pete. We had Melissa. We had Antonio. And so much more. Tell you what I'm going to do today. I am very excited that you're going to be at my home in Las Vegas in January for Inner Circle, not only because you are that committed to your life. You came to Turning Point, signed up for Inner Circle, and I like that. I also love the idea that you were my first call ever, and I'd like to commemorate that. Melissa Sigler, you just won 10 ounces of pure Marshall Sylver minted silver. Congratulations. So you are loved. I will see you tomorrow. Have an awesome day. Remember, we're in this thing called life together. Treat each other with great respect, and God bless. We'll chat with you soon. Bye for now.